What's up, folks? Dave Swift here from ClientAmp.com, and today we're talking about how to speed up your website, particularly when it comes to those pesky clients or coworkers that insist on uploading huge images to the website without properly resizing them or optimizing them before uploading them. We need a fail-safe way to make sure that those images never get displayed to our customers, so nobody's checking out your e-commerce site and gets hit with a 25 megabyte 9000K image that they're trying to download on a mobile connection. Nobody wants that. So today's sponsored video is all about Image Optimizer from our friends over at Elementor. Elementor have been longtime supporters of this channel. You've probably heard of them before because they're running on almost 11% of the entire internet. I'm not even just talking about WordPress. Elementor is that popular. Here are the latest statistics on Elementor's usage. You can see it's running on 15.7 websites whose content management systems are known, and almost 11% of all websites. Totally insane. Now, the good news is, if you're an agency, you probably have some clients that are on Elementor and maybe some other clients that use other page builders. Well, the Image Optimizer is going to work on all websites that run WordPress, regardless of what page builder they happen to be using. But like I mentioned, Elementor is huge. It is the most popular WordPress plugin, so you're definitely going to be running into it at some point or another. I should probably make more Elementor-based content. It's a really solid tool, and they keep getting better all of the time. But today's focus is all about the Image Optimizer, so let's go ahead and check out how to get started with it, what it costs, and what the entire setup process is like. So here is the Image Optimizer website. I'll link to this down below. That's going to help me out, let the Elementor folks know that you came to their website through me. So check that out. We get to this page, we're going to scroll down and see they offer 4 different plans. Well, really one is just a free trial. So you gotta, give this a go and see if it fits your needs before you commit to spending some money, right? But the prices I think are extremely reasonable. So we get 5,000 image credits for $50 a year, 20,000 image credits for $100 a year, and 1,000,000 image credits for $200 a year. So the one thing all of these plans have in common is there's no limit on the number of websites you can use the plugin on. That's wonderful. That means that if you're a growing agency, you can start with maybe the 5K plan. And as you get more and more clients, just upgrade your plan to make sure you have enough credits available for your clients. And you'll never be spending more than $200 a year because, that is a lot of images, over 1 million. I guess if you're at that point, you can just stack in another code and you're only spending $400 a year. But those are good problems to have. This plugin is going to solve a lot of common image problems for us, and I'm going to show you how they all work as we go to it. But enough talk, let's get this thing installed on a website. So this is a demo website I literally just spun up a few moments ago. It's using an Elementor template. They call it a kit, a site kit, and it's running. It looks really good. There's lots of images being pulled in. Now imagine I was using this as a starting point. Look, it's even got a little pop-up there. Imagine I was using this as a starting point for a new website, but instead of having bread on my website, I wanted to have something like cupcakes. How would I end up switching all of the images over? Well, I'd have to open up the page with Elementor, and then at every point I saw an image that had bread in it and I wanted to swap it out for maybe some delicious cupcakes, I'd need to go in and change. In this case, it's a background image, so I would have to, remove this image, maybe hit the trash can here, and then upload a brand new one. So maybe I'd go over to a place like Envato Elements and just look for cupcakes. And sure enough, I'm going to find some beautiful images of cupcakes here. I'm going to find one that I'd like to download. This one looks pretty good right here. It's got a nice little background to it. I think it would work well on this website. So I'm just going to go ahead and give this project a title, and then I'll download the image. Now, obviously, the Elementor editor is pretty intuitive to use. That's why it's grown to be 11% of the internet. But if I would just clicked right here, chose an image, dragged and dropped my cupcakes, well, everything looks pretty good. I might have a typography issue I need to address here, but so far it looks like I'm fine, right? This is all good and dandy. Well, actually, I'm not. It turns out I just uploaded an 11 megabyte file. I just grabbed it right off of Envato, uploaded it to my website. It seems like a normal thing to do, but now this page is going to load ridiculously slowly. I'm going to publish it just to see what happens. Now, keep in mind, I have a pretty fast website here. I'm using Cloudflare APO. I've got good hosting. I have no real concerns about the server actually responding quickly. It's just I'm trying to load an 11 megabyte image on my homepage. So here's what it looks like. It loads fine on my home computer because I have gigabyte internet. I'm very fortunate in that respect. But if I were on my mobile phone and maybe in a place without great coverage, this might not even load at all, or it might take a really long time. And that wouldn't be a very good user experience. Let's just check out where we are right now. I'm on Google's PageSpeed Insights. I'm just gonna paste in my URL of my demo site here, and we'll have Google analyze it. Now you might be thinking, who in their right mind would upload an 11 megabyte image? But remember, a lot of people that are using Elementor, this is their first experience building a website. They don't know to do things like resize images or run them through optimization before they upload the image. It's actually fairly common to see disasters like this happen. And you can see here my mobile scores are pretty poor. Check out the desktop. That's actually not too bad, but I can definitely see some errors that stand out. So under the diagnostics here, it says to serve images in next-gen formats. What this means is essentially that they would like you to not use PNG or JPEG files and instead use WebP files. Now the Image Optimizer plugin from Elementor can do this for us in a single click. So we're going to learn about that in a moment. But there's some other issues here to attend to as well, like properly sizing images. Well, that needs to be done for sure. And it also tells me to properly encode my images. You can see here, one of the images we uploaded of the cupcakes is taking up, like I mentioned, about 11 megabytes here. But honestly, it's not just this one. Some of the stock images that came right from the Elementor kit, those are showing up as too large as well. So we definitely need to optimize this website. It also tells me to avoid enormous network payloads. Again, this is all stemming from our ginormous image here and a few other ones that are quite big as well. So let's get started with the Image Optimizer and see how it can solve these problems rather quickly. What I'm going to do is in the back end of WordPress, I'm going to go over to Plugins and choose Add New. From here, I'll click on Upload Plugin. And then in my Elementor dashboard, I'm going to go under Billing and I can see my subscription right here. I just have the small plan, so I'm going to go ahead and download the zip file right here. Now, if you don't see your subscription over here, it might mean that you didn't actually make the purchase. So again, the image plans are right over here. Once you go through the purchase process, it'll show up in your billing section. So back over on my WordPress website, I've still got the plugin panel open here. I'm just going to drag and drop that zip file I just downloaded right onto that little field and hit install now. And it says plugin installed successfully. And then I'm going to click once more to activate the plugin. Once the plugin's installed, in the left-hand sidebar, if you hover over media, you're going to see a new option for Image Optimizer. This is where we'll get all of our settings for the Image Optimizer. Now, you do have to actually connect the plugin up to your Elementor account to make sure you get your quota properly accounted for. So I'm going to connect that up right now. Remember, we get unlimited sites, so there's literally no downside to connecting up as many sites as you want to use the plugin on. All right, so it's asking me if I would like to connect up the website. I can see the little link here. I'm going to go ahead and hit connect and continue. And there we go. My site is now linked up. I can go ahead and start optimizing all of the images on my site. You can see right away there's a button up here to optimize everything. There's a total of 137 images on this website. I click this button and they all get optimized in one go. But before I do that, let's take a look at some of the settings. One thing I really like about the Elementor Image Optimizer compared to some other competitors is all of the optimization actually takes place on their server. Now that's good news because it means your website is not going to be slowed down while the images get processed. It's all done in the background and everybody can continue purchasing things, taking your courses, visiting your site without experiencing any slowdowns, or at least any slowdowns that were caused by the image optimization. If you've got big images, your site might still be slow. I also really like the fact that these settings are simple. It's one page, I don't even really need to scroll unless I open up the advanced actions. I can see all of my settings right here. The first option you have to choose from is whether you want a lossless or a lossy version of the images created. Lossy is going to result in smaller file sizes, but if image quality is most important, you might want to stick with lossless. This will still be a reduction in file size, but the image will have no discernible differences in quality. Lossy, however, is good for most websites because the quality is so high you'll barely be able to tell unless you really zoom in. So where I would make this distinction is honestly, if it's a photographer, if it's maybe an illustrator or an artist where image quality is absolutely the most important thing. People are going to be potentially printing things off of their website. They're buying downloads to print. Well, then stick with lossless. But if it's not, if it's literally any other website, I'm going lossy. Now, the real magic here in this plugin is this switch right here where it says optimize new uploads. What that means is anytime a client willy-nilly decides to upload an image like we just did at the beginning of this video, those images will be automatically uploaded. Of course, we're going to go back in time and we're going to optimize everything that's already existing on this website, but you can certainly set it up so it just does the new ones and you're going to be good going forward. And hey, the image I uploaded was an absolutely massive file. You can see the resolution here is 5184 by 3456. This is larger than 4K by a lot. So there's no reason to ever upload this big of a file to your website. With this setting right here, where it says resize larger images, I can automatically have those huge images that your clients or colleagues that might be using the internet for the first time, end up uploading. They can automatically be resized. I think 1920 is a pretty good width and height. You probably don't need to go much more than that. But hey, if you do, you can maybe extend it just a little bit. Due to things like Retina displays on Apple devices, it might be a good idea to go to something like, I don't know, how about 2400 pixels? I feel like that's a pretty safe spot. The next option down is to clear EXIF metadata. This is data that's typically added by your camera at the time the picture was taken, and it's not necessary to publish online. It might even include things like location data that could give away where you live, and you might not want that. So I would definitely leave this checked clear metadata unless you know otherwise. If you're still struggling between maybe lossless and lossy images, and you just don't want to make the wrong decision by choosing lossy and then ending up having all of your images look bad on your website, well, I've got some good news for you because the next option is backup original images. What this is going to do is allow you to automatically roll back to the original images because they're making a copy. They're going to keep those original images around and then just optimize what's already there. So at any point, I could scroll down here to the advanced settings and then restore original images if I don't like how things look. And the next option is to serve images in that WebP format. This is a newer format. It's not really that new, but it's newer to WordPress for sure. And a lot of websites are not utilizing WebP. However, you should because it is a lot faster and more efficient. Now I can convert all of my images to WebP with just the simple checkbox and it's on by default. So even if you forget about this part of the video, just leave those settings intact when you go ahead and try this out and you're going to be good to go. The next option is for file optimization. Now that might sound confusing, but what this is actually getting at is when you upload an image to your WordPress website, you don't just upload that one image. It actually generates multiple other images in different sizes. You might have noticed this when you're picking an image inside of, let's say, Elementor or even another page builder. It's typically going to ask you what image resolution you'd like to use. So here is an example. It's this bread right here, and it says image resolution large, and I could also choose between medium large, medium, or thumbnail. And there's also some others that are added in by my theme, or WooCommerce will add in some other image sizes. So it's important that we resize all of these images as well, especially if our theme is going to be displaying them, or let's say our WooCommerce store is showing the thumbnails of products, well, we want those to be optimized as well. So in that case, you'd want to leave file optimization set to all sizes over in the settings. Now, you do have the option to set custom sizes as well. And as soon as I check that, I can see all of those sizes that are available to me on my WordPress website. Now, it's important to know that every time an image is optimized, it's going to cost me 1 credit. So if I have one image and I'm optimizing it through all of these 6 sizes, that's actually going to be 6 credits. So be careful about these settings, especially if you have some sizes that you just never use. Well, maybe it's safe to not optimize those sizes. It's always going to be best practice to properly size your images before you upload them to your website. It's also never going to happen if you are working with clients. They just will not learn that lesson. Trust me, I have a lot of experience in this case. I mean, maybe you get the 1 or 2 unicorn clients, but if you're working with clients on volume, it just happens. They upload massive images all of the time. We already briefly looked at the advanced actions down here, and there's not a whole lot more to see, honestly. Our restore original images is always there. So if we've optimized images, we can roll them back. And if we decide, hey, we love how this looks and we want to free up some storage space, we can remove those backups as well. Other than that, you're good to go. You can switch your Elementor account or deactivate your license here. Maybe you're running it for a client and they end up leaving your service, well, you can turn that off. Actually, what will happen is all of the images that have already been optimized, they're good. You're not gonna lose those. They're gonna stay on the website. They just won't be able to optimize any further images. All right, so let's go ahead and try this thing out. I'm gonna go ahead and hit optimize all right here, and it's gonna start optimizing every image on my website. Remember, this all happens in the background. So it says bulk optimizing may take a lot of processing and server time depending on the number of images. Your site will still work smoothly until processing is all done without any downtime. Then right here, I get a nice progress bar as well as a list of all of the images that need to be processed. And there are quite a few of them, remember 137. So I'm gonna let this roll in the background, and while it's working, I wanna show you that you can definitely use this plugin on any website. It does not need to be running Elementor. I've got another website here. It's just a template website, but it's built with a different page builder. And as I scroll through it, maybe you go ahead and edit a page, you're gonna see it's using the regular Gutenberg block editor. Now, this is really critical because as good as Elementor is, and you might enjoy using it, you probably are gonna run into sites that are using other plugins as well, other page builders, and you wanna still be able to optimize all of the images for all of the sites you manage, right? I mean, that would just be silly if you had to compartmentalize which image optimization plugin you were using. So now I can do the exact same thing I did on the other site, but in this case, I'm gonna do it for a non-Elementor site. I will go to plugins, add new, upload plugin. I've got that exact same zip file right here. I'm gonna drop it inside of the zone and then go ahead and hit install now. The plugin's installed, I will activate it, and over under Media, Image Optimizer, you can see it still found all of the images on my website, 199 in total. I have to go ahead and connect up this website, and then I can begin optimizing it. I'll quickly make any changes, like I like to have a little bit larger file size, and everything else looks pretty good here, so I'll go ahead and optimize all of my images. Back over my bulk optimization, I can see the progress is going along pretty quickly here. 69 images are unoptimized, so we're over halfway done. All right, my bulk optimization is now complete, and you'll notice that my initial size of my entire image library was 5.15 megabytes, but the current size is less than half at 2.36 megabytes, showing a 54% savings in space. And that also means it's going to be savings every time someone visits your website and tries to load up your pages. It's both good, by the way, for them and you, because now you need less bandwidth to display your website to visitors. Now we'll do a speed test in a second here, but there might be one thing that stands out to you, like, hey Dave, remember that image you uploaded? It was 11 megabytes. How come the initial size was 5? And the real reason behind that is the file actually didn't even upload properly to my website. Check it out. Here's the image and it displays, but check it out. If I click on it, it actually says invalid WP image meta. It's because this image was actually too big to even display the metadata. So I'm just gonna delete the file altogether, and we'll try again with a slightly tweaked version of this file that I can at least get to upload properly. So here's the deal. I wanna get that 11 megabyte file onto this site. It's a staging site. It's used for demonstration purposes. So it's not meant to handle these huge images, but most production sites can. You can upload huge images to them. It just happens to be that I'm in a resource constrained area. So I went ahead and I modified the server resources and I allowed it to take up more resources just so I can upload a huge file that your client or colleague may accidentally add. Here we go, I've uploaded it. And now notice right away when I uploaded it, it says optimize all, and then it went to 7, right? So there's now some images to optimize. Before I upload this file, by the way, I turned off auto optimization. So when I click on this, you're gonna see that WordPress by default has actually done a little bit of squishing for me. It's taken this huge image down to 2560 by 1707, so a lot lower resolution, but it's also made the file size shrink down from, 11 megabytes down to just around 1 megabyte at 895 kilobytes. However, that's still far too big. We need smaller images than that. So let's try to compress this image using the image optimizer. Now, obviously I could have had it do this automatically if I wanted to, but I wanted to make sure we had a chance to look at what WordPress was naturally doing to these oversized images. All right, now let's go ahead and we'll optimize that image. It's taking 7 credits because it's doing the original image plus all of the other sizes that are included with my theme and whatever WordPress wants to generate based on the plugins installed. You can see here that's happening super fast. I've got 2 left. My original size was 7.42 megabytes. And once again, we saw over a 50% reduction. We are down to 3.1 megabytes. The original image being 895 kilobytes, it is now 261 kilobytes. Still huge, but remember, this is a absolutely massive image when it comes to, just overall resolution. So I made sure to put that image back where it was in our original layout here. Obviously, this is not a good looking page just because of the readability, but for our purposes, we want to see how this actually affects the loading time. So let's head back to Google's PageSpeed Insights and test the site again. Here is our original, just for comparison. Our performance was 93 on desktop and then 51 on mobile. Let's go ahead and test this one more time using our newly optimized site. Here's PageSpeed Insights. We'll go ahead and run that other test. And we see some pretty significant improvements here. Our performance on desktop is up to 98, and over on mobile, we're at 74. There's definitely still room to improve on this site, but you can see just optimizing those images did a lot to move the needle. Definitely well worth the few bucks per month in order to get higher speed scores, improving our SEO, making the site a better experience for our visitors. And just to put a bow on things, here's the other website, the one that was not using Elementor. You can see all of the images have been processed here. Our initial size was 19 megabytes, and that has been brought down to 2.6 megabytes, an 86% increase in saved space. So in conclusion, if you're going to manage websites, either for yourself or for clients, you'll need to find a way to take care of image optimization, and the Elementor Image Optimizer plugin is a great way to do so at very affordable prices. I personally really like the fact that it's an image optimizer and an image optimizer alone. It's not a CDN, it's not going to limit you on bandwidth, and if you decide you want to cancel your plan, the optimized images remain. You're good there. You don't have to continue to pay in order to keep your site fast. That's the way it should be. I'm also really glad to see Elementor build a plugin that works with the entire WordPress ecosystem. Even though Elementor, the plugin, is a huge component to WordPress, it's still a component. And as administrators and agency owners, we need plugins that work with the entire WordPress ecosystem, and the Image Optimizer does that just fine. So that's going to do it for this video. If you have any questions, hit me up down below. My name is Dave Swift. Check us out over at clientamp.com. And I'll see you in the next video.